is the past. That's what we hear every time we raise the issue of abuse of taxpayer dollars with healthcare executives. Yet for Fort McMurray's Shane Wombolt, the past is not over. Shane had a brain tumor the size of a golf ball that was causing him to go blind. If he had waited another 3 months to have it removed, he would have been, and I quote, deemed as a vegetable. And the out-of-province committee refused to pay for this surgery because they said it was elective. To the health minister, what possible explanation is there for covering private treatments at the Mayo Clinic for health executives while people like Shane Wombolt are desperately in need of similar type care and similar type coverage?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as I think we've all pointed out, there is absolutely no excuse for the situation that was reported on that occurred in 2007. And, Mr. Speaker, no one is attempting to suggest anything otherwise. To compare that situation to the individual, and, Mr. Speaker, as we know, we must be cautious in the House to observe the provisions of the Health Information Act when talking about individuals' medical care or treatment or personal medical information. Mr. Speaker, there is an appropriate process for seeking approval for out-of-country medical services. This particular constituent is well represented by his MLA, who is a member of the government caucus. We're familiar with the situation, Mr. Speaker, and it's... Leave it there.
Honourable member.
Well, that's great. I'll send his MLA this file, and perhaps he can advocate on his behalf. Given that Shane has been denied for 6 times on technicalities and is now refiling for the 7th time, and given that this 2-tier healthcare system allows for Alberta Health Services executives to receive immediate access to private healthcare while everyday Albertans wait, will this minister sincerely take on Shane's case, no matter who's advocating for him, and pay for his procedure and afford him the same special treatment that you afforded to Michelle Leahy?
Mr. Speaker, with respect to this individual, and again, I would remind everyone of the provisions of the Health Information Act. I have met the individual in question, Mr. Speaker. I have talked with the individual. I have taken steps within my ministry to ensure that he's been provided with all of the information with respect to the process for seeking the reimbursement that is being sought. Mr. Speaker, we have taken every possible step to ensure that the fair and transparent process that overrides the Out-of-Country Health Services Commission and its appeal panel are being observed in this case.
Honourable member.
Sadly, that's not the case, because clearly the AHS executive didn't have to go through the same committee. And given that on November 28, 2011, the Premier agreed to look into Shane's case, and given that his family has now recently filed for bankruptcy, they've been forced to sell their home because of the out-of-pocket expenses for this operation, and given that Alberta Health executives can simply expense what others are literally dying for, will this honourable Premier keep her promise and do the right thing by ensuring that this family has the same standards that clearly are afforded to Alberta health care executives?
Mr. Speaker, had I thought that the House would have the patience, I would have raised an order based on a point of order based on the honourable member's last statement. Mr. Speaker, there is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that the situation that occurred in 2007 can occur today. In fact, the evidence is just the opposite, Mr. Speaker. The honourable members love to make loose connections between past offence, the present and the future, Mr. Speaker. The fact of the matter is the rules are in place. The expenses are approved in accordance with those rules. They are transparent, Mr. Speaker. The receipts are there for all to see. Mr. Speaker, this is a system that stands up for those sorts of issues.